Hey, it's Matt O'Neill from Matt O'Neill Real Estate. Today to talk about appraisals. Here's the thing. An appraisal is somebody's opinion of your value. I don't love it when appraisers come in with a low value because it's just their opinion. And I had two other opinions, the seller's opinion and the buyer's opinion, that were both pretty valid opinions. And those two people came together and thought they wanted to buy the home. And now we've got a third opinion in here, the appraisal, that could come in low and negate the other two opinions and say they don't matter. Well, what's the reason for an appraisal in the first place? The appraisal is to protect the bank. The bank doesn't want to lend money higher than what a property is worth, so I understand the spirit of appraisals, but I'm here to talk to you not about the spirit of them, but how we can navigate it as a home seller. Appraisals are looking at comps, and then they look at the condition of the home and they say, hey, is this condition of the home equal to these comps? Is it better or is it worse? And then they put a number on it. Well, I think a house is worth what a buyer is willing to pay for it in the market and in the condition. So I happen to believe more in the fair market value than I do the appraised value. We can get around this. If an appraiser appraises a home low, and they do this sometimes, a lot of times they appraise it low because we had inaccurate square footage, not my team, but the listing agent had inaccurate square footage. So if you didn't get a higher square footage measurement when you listed the home, which is something we do standard at our company because we know this ruins appraisals, and the square footage is 200 square feet lower than what you advertise on the MLS, the appraiser feels like they have a duty to then say the buyer paid too much because you said it was 2,600 square feet, but I found out it's only 2,400 square feet. So I'm going to then reduce the value. The buyer says, I don't want to pay the reduced value. The seller says, I don't want to take your reduced value. And everybody walks away. And then they got to go through the hassle of finding a new buyer. Well, we can solve that piece of it just by getting your house measured up front and saying, hey, you thought it was 26. I've got it professionally measured. It's actually 2,400 square feet. Let's still advertise it at the $800,000 you want. The buyer still thinks it's worth $800,000, but then the appraisal doesn't come in low and mess us up. The other thing we can do to help with the appraisal is I get a list of every upgrade you've done since you've owned it. So let's say you only bought it for 500 grand and now the market's gone up, it's worth 800. The appraiser has a hard time justifying that. If you put in a new kitchen, if you've added a pool, if you've done things to the exterior, I'm going to get all those things together to say, hey, look at all the upgrades this house has and consider that it might be better than our comps. The last thing we do is we do show up with comps. So the appraisers don't want us to influence them, but hey, if there's comps at the house, they're not opposed to taking them with them and considering them as they make their appraisal. So all of these pieces we do are to protect our seller, get the value high, and get you the most money in your pocket. If there still is an appraisal gap, then we've got one last line of defense. We ask the buyer to go get a new lender and a new appraisal, and lo and behold, the new opinion usually comes in where we thought it should have come in the first place, and we save the deal at the last second. And so this is the way we get around appraisal gaps. I don't put a lot of stock in an appraiser's opinion of value because it's just an opinion. I think a buyer willing to pay a house and a seller willing to sell is what a house is actually worth, and I am in the spirit of getting my sellers the most money. If you want to get the most money when you sell, reach out to us at matto'neillrealestate.com, and thanks so much for watching.